Preston, what is the big deal about the US Census? Can you tell us a bit about it, facts and figures and so on?
Well, the United States Census is the largest peacetime activity that the U.S. federal government conducts. It involves counting everyone, right now about 305 million people. Its primary use is for the distribution of power within the United States. Census counts are used to determine how many congressional representatives each state in the United States gets.
You were involved in the census 10 years ago, so what's changed since the last one, and what's come in that's new that you can use this time around?
Obviously, we've got a lot more access to automation. For many years, we published our data, which is voluminous, in large paper-bound volumes that go to all the libraries, and if you wanted to know something, you had to get to the library. You had a large bookcase to find out specific information about a particular location. We then moved to storing some of that on CD-ROMs. In the last census, we began experimenting with, but we're going to do it in a much bigger way. All of the data from this census will be disseminated on the web, free to everyone. No access problems. You don't have to go somewhere where the data is. So that's a big change. You'll get the data immediately, be updated, and kept current, and anyone can get it with any kind of access to the web.
You've got an interesting technological element to the next upcoming census, which is that you're actually not going to be using returns via internet. Why did you take that decision? What prompted it?
We're getting about 7 to 10 percentage points of the population answering by the internet. That's not very much, and it's also not really increasing the overall response. The hard-to-enumerate populations, people living in difficult housing, living in places where they don't have access to the computers, are not really responding by internet. So that doesn't help us either. There's great concern in the United States about personal security and personal identity. We're very concerned that we have the ability to maintain that security, that if you give us information, that it's absolutely, completely secure. So we're still struggling with it. The security concerns that we have simply doesn't offset the failure to really get any kind of financial benefit. We can't reduce our paper capture because we're not sure we're going to get very much on internet. So if you have to rent the hall and hire the band, it doesn't matter whether everybody comes to the dance or not.
One of the things you have got on a technology front is a bespoke handheld device that people are going to be taking out, enumerators are going to be taking out with them. Talk me through a bit more about this and how it's going to be used.
We went down that route for a couple of reasons. One, surprisingly, it's a lot more efficient. It's hard to imagine that a $350 machine can be more efficient than a number 2 lead pencil. But with this technology, we can get rid of our main cost driver, which is paper. Therefore, we can reduce the paper, we can reduce the rented space that keeps the paper dry, we can reduce the people moving the paper around. Big, big savings. In fact, we can save enough to do the census, to do the long form every year rather than once every 10 years, to finance the straightening out of our GIS system so that we're completely aligned with the GPS for all of our geographic coding situations. All of those things are helped, in fact, made possible by electronics. It also allows you to edit. If you have an answer which may be correct but is perhaps implausible, the enumerator then could be prompted to ask another question or to make sure that that's right. That's much more efficient than waiting until the record gets all the way back to headquarters. Then we find this thing and we can't find you anymore. It's been several weeks since we talked to you, and so we have to make some kind of adjustments based on our own information, which is very limited. So it increases the quality, reduces the cost, and it certainly moves the census more into an environment where we can get the data faster. We can get that data. We don't have to wait for it to get captured or keyed. It comes immediately to headquarters.
What's been the response from other countries who are also conducting their own censuses?
I meet regularly with heads of census bureaus throughout the country, throughout the world. They're very interested in doing this because they're facing the same kind of paper drowning problems that we're facing. But it's a big step. We're going to be spending between $600 million and $1 billion developing this system. That's a big part of our budget, maybe 10% of our budget, but it exceeds the total budget of a lot of the countries. In order for them to put that together, they're going to want to look and see what our experience was, what worked, what didn't work, use that as leverage to their own census processes.
Well, once you get this census out of the way, obviously in 10 years' time you've got another one coming up. What do you expect to see coming in new, different in 2020?
I think there'll be an expansion in the development of the internet for dissemination. And as you look way down the road, perhaps not 2020, but beyond that, I think that we will crack the code as far as being able to get people to respond to us when it's convenient for them, not just pack in on April 1st. We'll be able to tell from when you answer where you are and how to put you in that place. And so I think that the census process will become much more automated in the future, a lot fewer pieces of paper, and a lot quicker and more responsive.
Preston J. Waite, many thanks indeed.
Okay, thank you.